Hello friends, in this tutorial I want to explain to you how to model a camera lens. A micro lens from Sigma brand, well, let's start. Well, to start, I go to the front view and then through the mode tab, I enter the view setting option. Then from the back tab, I select the reference I prepared for this view. And then I make a cylinder and make it the reference size. I will put the appropriate reference for other views. Now, I have a cylinder that is the size of the original model because I want the lines that I add to create space to be manual. I change the number of segments to one from the settings section of my cylinder. After that, pressing the C key will change it to editable mode. I add new lines to the model by right clicking and selecting the loop half cut option. Choosing the correct location of these lines is based on reference. Well, we can certainly add or subtract them or change their places after doing this. And have to take this inside. Well, you can see that in polygon mode by going to the select menu and choosing loop selection, I select that area. And then by pressing the D key, I move that area inside. As you can see, a hole was created. Then I go to edge mode and draw this line down. With this, I made a ramp. These tops should be narrower and come down. Good. I put another line here. I work a bit on the dimensions of the upper part of the lens, and by changing the distance of the lines, I make it closer to my reference. In general, the more time you spend and make your model closer to the reference, the better you will get when outputting. Okay. The first upper part should be narrow. I created a kind of edge for it. Good. The surface of the upper part of the lens has a series of divisions that become smaller and smaller in layers and also gain height. I divide this part with Laplavkat and use the D key to distance from the previous level. Sometimes when So, for example, you are in polygon mode and you wish you had selected that area on edge or point mode, and it hits you, go back and select that area on the desired mode from the beginning. It is enough without doing any special movement to go to the select menu and click the convert selection option. This way, you can change your chosen mode to any other mode you want. You're welcome. We choose a circle with the diameter of the circle we want, and Then we direct it towards the inside. In the original model, this wall is made of a series of low and high. I just need to create a few new lines. You can give it a number manually in the settings section of the loop path cut tool. Then I choose one and ignore the other, and so on. Finally, I extrude them towards the center of the circle. I will create a new line here to have the space for the lens between the wall and the lens. There's an environment similar to the wall. I repeat the same method as before. Turned out very well. Now I just need to so the middle part. As you can see, this area does not have quadrangular polygons. That's why I completely erase it and complete this area again with the close polygon hole tool. Let's be careful to select the grid option in the settings section. A very important issue that came to my mind now is that if you consider the cylinder parts at the beginning of your modeling as numbers that do not have good coefficients for making quadrilateral polygons like this, when you want to build an environment, you face serious problems and you have to waste a lot of time to manually reconfigure. So be forward looking. That middle part is going to be our lens. This lens is convex type, so I have to make a big curve for it somehow. You know, convex lenses are curved outwards. Well, if I normally drag that up, it just goes up on its own. Whereby I can click the enable option from the settings section and the soft selection tab. By doing this, I can move a specific range while dragging the point, the amount of which can be obtained by changing the radius. Of course, there's a problem in our model that needs to be fixed. It is the low number of lens polygons. For this reason, when I drag the point above the desired range, there are cracks on its surface. To solve this problem, I use subdivision surface. In fact, this generator turns your polygon into 4, which is both good and bad. It solves our problem, but at the same time, it greatly increases the volume of polygons. Thought this will cause the volume of your project to increase, and you will need higher hardware to process it. Now I will select a path in the outer part, and after that, I will I right click on that area and select split option. In this way, a new layer is created from the range I selected. I'm going to create 2 appendages on both sides, so it is enough to divide this ring into 2 halves in the middle and then make the model with the help of a symmetry generator. This way, I don't need to do the same thing twice. Very important point when using symmetry is that this generator approximates it based on the location of the coordinate axis of your model. So if you see that after using it, you get a bad approximation, go to the tools menu and select axis center from the axis option and adjust your coordinates. If you encounter something like this after using symmetry, that the coordinate axis of the layer is definitely in the wrong place. In this situation, you can change the location of the axis, or if you see that the distance is too short, use the kinetic generator. And the option of this generator, we have tolerance. In fact, by changing this quantity, you will tell the generator to connect the points that are this far apart. The important thing is that sometimes you focus on a specific place of your model, and to connect the empty space between 2 points, you constantly change the tolerance and make it bigger and bigger. This will cause another part of your model to inadvertently stick together due to having very close points, and you will not notice it at all until this generator does not necessarily stick the distances together, but analyzes all the points of your model, and wherever it feels a range, including the tolerance value, it can be glued together. So always be careful to use it rationally and not involve other points. As I can see, I have a complete circle, and my reason was that I wanted to perform an operation in analogy. I select the desired range, and then drag it outwards by pressing the D key. I also changed the amount of subdivision to 0 to prevent the creation of extra lines. So now I have two appendages that have formed on both sides of the circle, one on this side, one on that side. If you remember, I had separated this area and worked as a separate layer. Now I want to reattach it to the main body of the lens. Well, I put both layers very easily under a connect generator. Then, by pressing the C key on the generator, I turn everything into one layer. Finally, I use a deformer called bevel to soften the edges of my work. Changing the offset and subdivision quantities, you can reach the desired curvature. But as you've noticed so far, more connections equals more softness, and conversely, more effort to convert them into quadrilateral polygons. So use it wisely. On the body of the lens, we have a part that looks like a gear that we adjust the focus range by turning. I took a copy of the body in order to separate the part I wanted from it. First question to easily select this area, it is enough to select one bar from the top and one from the bottom, and go to the select menu and click the fill selection option to select the border between the two areas. And there easily use the U and I keys and invert the selected range and delete it. This way I have only one ring that is exactly the tangent and the size of the space I need. Now I will start and delete the horizontal lines because I don't need them. So because the number of these gears is too much, so I have to increase the number of my polygons. You can see that after selecting all of them, we can see their number in the upper left corner. Well, I go to polygon mode and select all models and go to subdivide settings with right click. Here we can tell it to multiply each of our polygons, change the number to 4. And it's great. Well, I will remove those extra horizontal lines again. All I have to do is select one row and ignore the next. Naturally, choosing all these polygons takes a lot of time and probably drives us crazy. In the new versions of Cinema 4, a new function called pattern selection has been added. With this tool, you show the pattern of your choice to it, and it repeats the same pattern. Don't forget to make the selected area selection tag. Well, we have to give it a thickness. For this reason, I put the layer under a new generator called thicken. I adjust its thickness and then press the C key to turn it into an editable layer. Now, I will go to the selection tag that I made earlier. You can see that a new section has been added to it that does not work for us, and we have to get rid of them. It's easy. Just go to select menu and select loop selection option. Then by holding the control key and clicking in the desired places, unselect those points. Then we extrude the desired area very easily. So I have to bend the protruding edges. I will add 2 lines for this. Well, you see, I can click up and down and make two new lines, but the more logical and professional way is to go to the option of the loop path cut tool and check the symmetrical cut option. In this way, your lines will exactly match each other. I don't need this middle area anymore. Um, Here, I can convert polygons into points with a simple movement that I taught you before. Now, I remove the extra rows from the selection mode. Um, Good. Now, it is enough to change the position of the points based on the axis with scale. How good it turned out. I have the same ring below me, of course. It is a little narrower. Well, I can copy the top one and change its dimensions manually, or I can repeat the same path again. The second method is better for learning because the method stays in your mind. Real. Here it is in front of the body of our lens. We have a glass area with a bunch of writing inside. We have nothing to do with what these are. We just want to make them, well, to start with the lines around it, I move around to get the exact frame. Well, I have to say that I got a copy of the body before and I am working on it. You know, I move I move the lines with the shortcut keys M and O. Great. Right. Now I will select the desired range and then drag it to the inside. I select the rectangle of the box and try to give it a curve with bevel. Good. After the curves are formed, a few new lines are created that take our polygons out of the quadrilateral state. Make new connections with the line cut tool. For this part, I can create a few cuts. Later, I will erase the entire polygon and use the close polygon hole tool to fill it, of course, with the condition that you choose grid mode in the settings. You see, it connects the dots to real. Well, naturally, we have to continue the same path until the whole environment becomes a quadrilateral. until these lines are connected to each other. You can click the subscribe button so that I can be happy and continue my work, and you will find out more quickly that new tutorials have been published. Thank you. Here I create two new lines. I need to see what form it takes when activate the subdivision surface. Okay. Everything is fine, but I don't think I will use it. I don't want to have so many polygons. Um, if you don't feel like making connections, you can do this, delete that area, and then use the close polygon hole tool. And this time go to the patch section, then change the amount patch rotation. It establishes connections based on the suggested angle. With a little work, you can achieve a good result. Much for my reference, I have a multi-layer mode here for this reason. I select the desired area, and by activating create caps in the extrude settings, I continue it inwards. This option creates a closed box where you extrude. In this way, for example, I make the front part transparent plastic and the back part where the texts are placed. So we are done with that part. Let's go to the next part. The buttons, just like last time, I want to work exclusively on that piece and not have anything to do with the rest of my model. Well, I can make a copy of my model and I can select the area I want and right click on the split option. Just note, the split takes an exact copy of the desired location and delivers it as a separate layer, but the same area is still present in the main layer. So if you want, you have to delete that part manually. Okay. I'll extrude this part and stop and extrude again to make two pieces. Here we have some useless lines that need to be erased. Good. Now I divide my model into 5 parts. Next, I remove the 4 corners of the model from the selection mode. I extrude the remaining space once. This part's on the left side of the model should be slightly higher, so I remove the extras from the selection and re-extrude that part. And I have to adjust the position of the keys. For this reason, I move the lines by M and O, 3 sections for 3 keys. Now I will take them into the model. With subdivision surface, you can understand whether your model is healthy or not in terms of connections. If there was a strange appearance somewhere, we understand that our modeling have problems in this area. I select the outer edge of the work and extruded it towards the inside of the body with this. If there's a small gap between the original model and this model, it will be filled. I select the surface of the three parts that I made for the location of the keys and apply the split method to give me a separate layer of them and then separate them. You can do this for each level separately. Important thing is to reset the axis of that layer using the axis center tool that I explained earlier. I will make the dimensions of the keys smaller, then I will extrude them. There are a few extra lines that I will delete. I have to extrude this middle. This is where we grab the button and move it up and down. I narrow the upper part a little. I have to give these sides a little curve to make them look softer. Good. Now, based on the usual routine, I start converting polygons into quadrilaterals with the line cut tool. I use the bevel deformer to curve the edges. In the end, I have to convert everything into a layer so that I can make changes on the changes made by the bevel and correct the problematic polygons. I do the same for the base work first in the edge mode. I select the environment that I want the bevel to affect, and then I create a selection tag and assign it to the bevel. Well, you can see that exactly the same areas were curved, but if you look carefully, Some places have not changed yet. This is because of the angle threshold value. Change the value to make it correct. Well, I merge the base with the bevel and start correcting the polygons. Well, let's go to the bottom part. I want to knock this down completely and rebuild it. I completely deleted the lower part and then filled the space again with close polygon hole. I had selected the basic in the option. Then, according to my reference, I started segmenting that area with the inset tool. Very good. Now I have to pull this middle up. Excellent. In the middle, I have a groove and I need to extrude it inward. Good. Here too, some changes are needed. On this wall, I have 3 parts that I need to extrude. Good. So, I take the middle part inside with inset to create a narrow row. Then I pull up the desired area. That narrow part should be higher, so I select it separately and extrude it. I have to bend both sides of this narrow strip on point mode. I press the M and O keys and move them around. Good. There are some bumps on this surface that are like pieces of metal, or probably when they connect to the camera, they connect to something. Anyway, I need 2 lines to make the range I want. Now I just elect those places and make a smaller inner border for them with inset. Important thing is that If you click the preserve group option in the inset tool option, it will consider all the selected range as one unit. But if you disable it, each individual polygon will include changes. Okay, now I'll extrude them a little. I have to make a small round space for the location of the screws. For this, I create a line exactly in the middle of this line, select the desired places. Make the environment a little smaller and easily make it close to a circular shape with the fit circle tool. This is one of the best ways to make a circle based on a quadrilateral polygon. It is enough to apply the subdivision surface method later to see how clean it is. A few screws here, I will implement the same method here. I use the bevel deformer to soften the edges. I have to extrude this middle part to the inside as well. The inner wall is completely filled with high and low columns, so I have to create a new line with the loop half cut tool. Now, I select one row and ignore the next one. I can do this manually up to the top, or I can handle it professionally and use the pattern selection tool. Okay, I will extrude everything. Okay, I lowered this space a bit and made some bumps there. In my opinion, the bevel deformer that I gave to the upper part unnecessarily affects the rest of the parts. So I completely separate the upper part from the body. Don't forget to go back after using the bevel and check your model to make sure it doesn't have non-square. Well, this is how we finished the work, right? We completed another model together. I hope that by seeing this tutorial, a bit has been added to your modeling knowledge. I am waiting for your comments. If you have a suggestion or criticism, be sure to leave a comment. I will answer them as soon as possible. Do not forget to subscribe to the channel. Thank you for your constant kindness, and bye-bye.